Hello, today it's Friday, the 15th of November 2018. I am Thekla Petridou, a psychologist and an author, and today's video is about how to get over my ex. How do I get over my ex-fiancé, my ex-fiancée, my ex-husband, my ex-wife, my ex-boyfriend, my ex-girlfriend? How do I get over missing them and wanting them but so badly bad in my life? Breakups and divorces are a source of pain for modern people. We have been brought up in a way that we expect for us happiness to occur in relationships, and especially love relationships, and especially relationships that make us being married or being engaged or being in a couple. We invest too much of our emotional rapport on these relationships. We really do believe, and we are totally convinced that we will be happier if we are in a relationship. And even if we break up from a bad relationship or from a relationship that we didn't have the best of times, we all tend to feel sorry for ourselves. We all tend to feel nostalgic after a breakup. Very rarely do I hear people telling me that I broke up and I'm exhilarated. Even people who decide to break up a relationship, even the one who takes the decision, they might feel later that they can't get over their ex. Why? It is very simple. The answer is very simple. Being in a love relationship is something that fulfills our inner needs, emotional needs, physical needs, psychological needs, social needs. And it is so important in today's society that people live alone and they don't live in communities, and we don't have too many friends, and we don't have too many social occasions to meet with people, interact with people, and feel that we belong. We belong in a neighborhood, or that we belong in a tribe, or that we belong in any setting. So for us, when a relationship breaks up, when a relationship finishes, it means that we come back to being lonely and alone. Being alone is not a bad thing, but being lonely is terrible. Being alone is something that you might choose. You might choose to spend some time alone in order to communicate with yourself and your inner feelings. You might choose to spend some time alone in order to create, to write a book, to draw a painting, to make a sculpture if you are an artist. Or you might choose to stay alone in order to find your inner peace. Being lonely is the opposite of being alone. The opposite in what sense? When you are lonely, you feel that you have nobody connected to you. And you might be in a room full of people and still feel lonely. And it is really funny because people usually say that I felt so lonely in that marriage, or at the end I felt so lonely in that relationship, and still after the relationship finishes, after the marriage finishes, they feel that they can't get over their ex. Why? Because our brain is built up in a way to help our survival. For you that you have watched my previous videos in English, you know about not my theory, the theory I like, about our brains and bodies being primitive and born in my modern age. Our primitive brain is wired that way so that we survive. And in order to survive, you need to belong to a group of people. So even after a bad breakup, even after we are in a relationship and we don't feel nice, and we feel that we are not loved, we feel that we don't get everything we deserve from that relationship, even at that point, after we break up, our brain seems to restructure the past and give us flashbacks of the good moments of that relationship. Because every relationship, even the worst relationships, have good moments. I mean, at least at the beginning, at least at the first date, the first kiss, at the first night you slept together, or when you were in the first honeymoon, or the honeymoon period, the first 3 months of a relationship, that usually, not all the time, are good in every relationship, before we start to get to know each other better and realize what underlies the relationship. If it is, for example, it might be a relationship in which one person takes advantage of the other, or it might be a relationship that the one person cheats the other person, or it might be a relationship that the one person loves the other person, but the other person do not love them back. All these kind of relationships that are not full, that are not loving relationships, they do not make us happy. But after we broke up, when some time goes by, maybe some days or some weeks, our brain restructures the past and we remember only the good times. And then we cannot move on. We cannot forget that we had a relationship with that person and now we don't. That we used to be together with that person and now we're not. So, how do I get over my ex? How do you get over your ex? You try to work against your brain. Even though your brain restructures the past and serves you with good memories of the past, you need to try to remember the bad parts of the relationship. When your brain bombards you with images or videos of good times, for example, when it comes to your mind a memory that you were out together and you had a good time and you had a drink and you danced together, try and force your brain to remember that time you had a fight, that time that your ex spoke bad of you, that time your ex mistreated you, that time your ex made you feel unhappy. All those times your ex and you were not together happy. You were not happy together. So it is very simple to get over a breakup and to get over your ex. You need to constantly remind yourself of the reasons why that relationship was not a happy relationship. You need to constantly remind yourself of the reasons that you took the decision to end the relationship, or if you are the one that did not take the decision, you need to constantly remind of yourself that the other person, your ex, that you saw, you feel that you want to be with him or her again, is somebody who decided not to be with you. It's not easy to get over your ex. It's not easy in any relationship, in any age. It's not easy. Because we invest emotionally on building a relationship, and then when the relationship has ended, we need to take our emotional investment back. And how we do that? I said before, we constantly remind of ourselves of the bad times of the relationship. The second thing we can do to help ourselves get over our ex is to indulge in some therapy. And I'm using the verb indulge because I view therapy and psychotherapy as an exquisite present that you give yourself. I am a psychologist myself and a psychotherapist, but for the past 2 years I'm not working as a therapist, so I'm not making this video in order to get clients. I'm only writing books at the time in Greek, but I hope that my books will be translated in English in the future. I make videos on YouTube, but I do not see any people. So currently I'm not a therapist. I'm not working as a therapist. I'm just a psychologist and an author. The exquisite gift you can give yourself after a breakup is to visit a psychologist of your choice and give yourself the present of therapy. having a therapeutic relationship will help you deal with the unsolved issues from the relationship that has ended and all the unresolved issues from your life since you were a baby. The best time to give yourself this present, the present of therapy, is after breakup. And if you choose to do this, try to stick to therapy, not go only for a few times until you feel better and then give up. Try to stick to therapy. Stick to therapy for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. Those are, according to my opinion and my professional experience, those are adequate times, adequate months in order to make more work with yourself, a complete work with yourself. Some people need 3 months, some people need 6 months, some people need 9 months. And we're talking about people with no any known psychopathology, without any diagnosis. We're talking about people that go through a divorce or a separation or a love relationship breakup, and they want to use this opportunity of grief over the death of the marriage, the death of the relationship, the death of the partnership, to use this time in order to invest in themselves. It's good to invest emotionally in our relationships, but it's much better to invest in ourselves. Investing in yourself is something that will stay with you for life. Investing emotionally in a relationship is gonna stay with you for as long as the relationship is good and is beneficial for you. So after a breakup, how do we get over our ex? The first advice I gave you in this video is to try to constantly remind yourself of the bad times of the relationship. And the second advice is to give yourself the exquisite gift of psychotherapy, so that after some time, a year, 2 years, 3 years, maybe, or 10 years maybe, you might go back to that time that you couldn't get over your ex and say, oh, that time was a very good time in my life because I went to therapy and I gained my freedom. I gained my spiritual freedom, my emotional freedom, my psychological freedom. Therapy is good for us. Thank you for listening. If you liked my video, you can subscribe to my channel, share the video with friends of yours, and every Friday noon at 1 p.m. Cyprus time, I release a new video in English on my YouTube channel. Thank you. Have a nice weekend.